then you have art, and all of a sudden you stop and say, that is beautiful.
That is a piece entitled Godot by artist Brett Price, part of a public art renaissance on LA's west side called Century City Sculpture. The year-long exhibition will feature the works of 10 nationally and internationally renowned artists. There will be 19 artworks such as these on display, each one with the ability to inspire conversation among passerbys on the street. At least that's the goal. Public art didn't really exist on Avenue of the Stars and surrounding streets until 2012. That's when the first Century City Sculpture event was launched, decorating Hyatt Regency Century Plaza, Fox Plaza, and other local landmarks with curious outdoor displays such as these. Installations usually stay for a year or so, only to be replaced by new ones, continuously inspiring new thought, new conversation.
This is not a largely city-driven effort. Our office helped, but this is really created by the Century City Chamber of Commerce and a number of individual businesses.
This year's program will feature a walking tour with maps.
It's a mile. It will take you an hour. That's fantastic. And then you go and eat in the restaurant, go to the movies.
Expanding your options as well as your horizons in Century City. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
You can check out these abstract works on Santa Monica Boulevard, Constellation Boulevard, and Avenue of the Stars in Century City. Councilman Mike Bonin recently hosted an open house on Venice Boulevard to discuss the mayor's Great Streets plan for Mar Vista, and it was a hands-on experience. Photos of other public spaces, including this parklet with a swing or this bicycle parking corral, spark ideas and conversations. Folks even played around with their idea of how landscaping, traffic, and pedestrians should coexist on Venice Boulevard.
I generally feel safe on the bike lanes, but having them separated would be even nicer.
It would be nice if it was even more walkable, maybe wider sidewalks.
Across the street from the Mar Vista Farmers Market, Councilman Mike Bonin held an open house that asked residents, business owners, and those who work or visit the community to share ideas for improving Venice Boulevard, Mar Vista's main thoroughfare.
Mayor Garcetti and I are doing everything we can. We've been going door to door, holding these open houses to try to get as much community and neighborhood feedback on what people's dreams are here in Mar Vista for what a great street should be.
Venice Boulevard is just one of 15 streets throughout the city. San Pedro's Gaffey Street and Reseda Boulevard in Northridge are among them that are getting overhauled as part of the mayor's Great Streets initiative, aimed at reimagining our streets to make them more attractive to residents, shoppers, and investors.
They'd like to see some outdoor dining. They'd like to see it safer for pedestrians, maybe some mid-block crosswalks, safer for cyclists.
The councilman says some improvements will happen right away, while other more permanent and labor-intensive changes will take more time to implement. But before any work is done, the city needs you to put pencil to paper and share your big dream for creating your idea of a great street. Engineers are high in demand in Los Angeles, and city officials are hoping to attract more people to work in the field. And one way they're doing that is by showing the younger generation how much fun science and math can be. Yana Kay reports.
Insane! Yeah! These LAUSD elementary students couldn't be more excited as their container with an egg inside landed without the egg breaking. It's all part of LA's celebration of Engineers Week, which seeks to get more kids interested in the engineering field. And so far, it's paid off.
It's fun being an engineer.
250 students took part in an egg drop contest at City Hall, hosted by Councilmember Gil Cedillo, where they had to design a container that would protect an egg when dropped from high above. Some eggs didn't make it, but others did.
It made it survive by the Ziploc bag and the cotton balls by the bottom.
Some of the eggs, they descended really, really slow because they utilized the parachute effect. Other egg containers, they utilize a strong structural base. So when it did hit the ground, it actually absorbed most of the force. So we had several different designs, but overall, all the students did great, and they had fantastic egg containers.
Engineers Week featured all sorts of activities citywide for elementary and college students, introducing them to engineering while promoting science, math, and technology.
We jokingly refer to it as Geek Week because these are all the geeks of the classroom and of the families that they come from, and we want them to feel proud about that and to pursue their goals.
math and science is cool.
Meanwhile, the LADWP held its own structure building workshop where college students competed in a boat building contest. City officials say these kinds of community outreach events help engage engineering students who may one day work for the city and fill a growing need.
There's a lot of work to do, and it'll take sharp young minds like we have here today to be involved in getting those problems solved.
And by the looks of things, the future appears to be brighter than ever. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Officials also hope that more women become interested in and enter the engineering field. The city and its police officers reach contract agreement. The city attorney files suit against the company contracted to do building work for the LADWP, and the city designates a popular dining hub, Japantown. These stories and more in City Beat. The city and the Police Protective League have announced they've reached a tentative agreement on a 4-year contract for Los Angeles police officers. Part of the agreement includes a no-cost living adjustment for the 2014 and 2015 fiscal years, with increases starting in 2016 through 2018, the year this contract expires. The agreement also includes the equivalent of a 5% increase for health care subsidy and a substantial increase in cash overtime throughout the contract. In a joint statement, Mayor Garcetti, Council President Herb Wesson, and the Police Protective League call the contract fair and responsible. The City Council would still need to give final approval. City Attorney Mike Feuer has announced his office is filing a major lawsuit against PricewaterhouseCoopers, which was hired by the city to manage the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power's customer billing system. But Feuer says what ended up happening is the company botched the job it was hired to do when the billing system launched 18 months ago and cost the city tens of millions of dollars in damages. LADWP General Manager Marcy Edwards assures customers that they have corrected a majority of erroneous bills and continue to do so. Customers who still have questions or problems with their bills can call 1-800-DIAL-DWP. Edwards says call wait times have also been reduced. LA has a little Tokyo, and now it's also got a Japantown. Council members approved the renaming of Sawtelle in West LA with a 14-0 vote. The West Side neighborhood is home to many Japanese establishments, from banks to restaurants to flower shops. Prior to its official renaming, the area was also referred to as Little Osaka. The West LA Neighborhood Council says having an official designation will help West LA to become a more identifiable area like Brentwood and Mar Vista. The renaming of the area to Sawtelle Japantown also helps bring awareness to the area's history, when a large concentration of Japanese Americans moved to the city's west side due to race-based restrictions on buying homes from the early 1900s to the 1950s. Rocker George Harrison is honored with a new tree planted in his memory in Griffith Park. And as Gil Reyes reports, it replaces the original plant, which died in a strange twist worthy of a Beatle-esque ballad.
Griffith Park's Councilman Tom LaBonge helps plant a new pine tree honoring former Beatle George Harrison. It replaces the original Harrison Memorial tree destroyed by beetles. Seriously, beetles, as in the insects, infested and devoured the original Canary Island pine tree last year. Breakfast with the Beatles radio show host Chris Carter recalls the witty headlines that followed, referencing Harrison's songs and career.
USA Today, isn't it a pity Beatles kill George Harrison tree? CBS, Beatle invasion kills George's tree.
George Harrison's loved ones say he too would have appreciated the coincidence. The original tree was planted in 2002, soon after his death from lung cancer at the age of 58. At this year's replanting, steps from the Griffith Observatory were close friend Paula Greenfield, sister-in-law Linda Arias, and older sister Louise Harrison. She's written a book about George Harrison and the Beatles entitled My Kid Brother's Band.
I have loved him all his life, and I loved him long before he was rich and famous. In fact, I loved him before he even had any teeth, and I know that he would be very, very happy to know that although the one tree didn't survive, that we are now trying again to put something here in his memory.
We're feeling all together.
Griffith Park, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The new tree was planted on what would have been George Harrison's 72nd birthday. In this week's list of things to do, an exhibit by women about women during National Women's History Month. Ciclavia takes it to the Valley, and an exhibit on jazz pioneer Duke Ellington. March marks National Women's History Month, and here in the city, the Pico House Gallery is hosting the exhibit called From Her, an exhibition by women about women. The exhibit is open every Tuesday to Sunday from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. from now through Sunday, March 22nd. The artwork explores how women see themselves in relation to nature. The Pico House Gallery is located at the El Pueblo Historical Monument at 424 North Main Street. To see a sampling of some of the works on display, you can go to facebook.com/FromHerLA. The next car-free event, Ciclavia, is taking place in the Valley for the first time. It happens on Sunday, March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Participants will be able to travel between North Hollywood and Studio City on car-free streets using foot, pedal, and non-motorized wheel power. The event will run along Lankershim Boulevard between the North Hollywood Metro Red Line stop at Chandler Boulevard and the Universal Studio Red Line stop, and along Ventura Boulevard between Campo de Cahuenga and Coldwater Canyon. The 5.5-mile route will highlight some of the gems of the East Valley, including the North Hollywood Arts District, Universal City, Studio City Farmers Market, and the famed Sportsman's Lodge. Go to ciclavia.org. The exhibition Love You Madly, a portrait of Duke Ellington, will display archival recordings, concert posters, and original photographs related to jazz pioneer and prolific master composer Duke Ellington's life and career. The art show opened earlier this month and will remain open through June 6th at the William Grant Still Arts Center, located at 2520 South Westview Street. Gallery hours are Tuesdays to Saturdays, noon to 5 p.m. The materials exhibited will chronicle Duke Ellington's rise to fame through swing in the Cotton Club and big band era as an inventive arranger and charismatic band leader. Go to wgsac.wordpress.com for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. It's the start of a new season, and one Chinese festival reminds us of light and renewal. The Chinese American Museum held a lantern festival that lit up a recent March afternoon for many fairgoers. Anna Marcos takes us there.
You can always count on the Lion Dance to bring pageantry, fire, and excitement to any party. But it's the tiny lantern that's the star of this show. The 14th Annual Lantern Festival kicked off at the El Pueblo Historical Monument near the Chinese American Museum, with Chinese folk dancing, martial arts, and acrobatics of all sorts.
The great thing about the Lantern Festival is that it starts the beginning of spring.
And free springtime activities help kids of all ages express their inner creative child, from lantern making to dragon drawing and more. But it was definitely the lion dance which drew the attention.
The dragons dance, so awesome. They're awesome.
Oh well, lions, dragons, it's easy to get the two mixed up. Though we did hear there was a majestic silver dragon dance at the end of the show. At any rate, these are the tame kinds of lions and dragons. Posing for pictures is allowed, as is shaking hands with and petting the animals. And as the Lantern Festival draws to a close, another springtime season is now in full bloom. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Award-winning paintings by children under the title My Happiness are also on exhibit at the Chinese American Museum as part of this year's Lantern Festival festivities. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook or at Twitter. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Graffiti removal? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
Don't hurt me this way. Don't touch me this way.
When a physical encounter occurs between man and machine, the machine always wins. Please, don't lose. Obey all the rules of the road.
Don't let me make the same mistake again.
Hi, I'm Nina. This is my daughter Miranda, and we live in Silver Lake. We love the cultural diversity of Los Angeles. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
sergeants call the members, have them report to the council chambers. Members, if you're in your offices, please report to the council chambers so that we can begin our business for today. I do want to thank Mr. Koretz, Krikorian, and Labange for being members of today's on-time caucus. So, members, please report to the council chamber.
Graduate of John Marshall High, and he's going to Cal State LA following my lead. Let's hear a big hand for Robert. He's here for Naruth. This is another great Cal State Los Angeles student, Corey Lopez, who works with the community here and teaches people in need. Give Corey a big hand. Cal State LA. Weezer and Mr. Bonner are here. Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell's here. Let's welcome Abak Battalion back from Washington, D.C., our Assistant Chief Legislative Analyst. Big hand for Abak. Mr. Blumenfeld, Mr. Bonin, Mr. Weezer, Mr. Koretz, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Wesson. We would like to ask Sergeant if you could check with the office. Mr. Price, thank you so much. Mr. Fuentes is here. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Fuentes moves. Mr. Krikorian seconds. Next item.
Next is committee resolutions for approval.
Mr. Price moves. Mr. O'Farrell second. Next item.
Mr. President, would you like to run through the agenda at this time?
Please, very much so.
There's a request to continue item 12 to May 19th, item 13 to April 1st, and item 18 to April 21st.
Without objection, so ordered.
Items 1 through 20 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that item 19 may be received and filed inasmuch as the property is owner-occupied single-family dwelling and exempt from lien.
So on 19, we could receive and file. We want to handle that right now without objection. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Mr. President, there are cards on items 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, and 15. Oh, and 20.
We'll hold those for specials. Next item.
Mr. President, if there's no other specials by the members, council may vote on the remaining items.
All right, on the ballots, members, you've checked the agendas as always. We have no other specials. So on the ballots, Madam Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cedillo's here. Great, Mr. Cedillo. I love the tie. Okay. Next item.
Items 21 and 22 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
On consideration, members, any specials on those? Seeing none.
Mr. President, there is cards on both items.
So we'll hold those for special.
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
I'm going to have presentations first. Introduce the City Controller. We have Ron Galpert here. Mr. Galpert, give us a nice big wave. We thank you for all you and your staff's hard work. It's my pleasure to call on the President of the City Council, Mr. Herb Wesson, and a very special representative of our Animal Services Department for a very special presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Today is, before we have our big presentation, I want to have a little presentation. One that's very important to me and a lot of us on this council. Today is Pet Adoption Friday. And here in the city of Los Angeles, we have been doing this for about 8 years. We have a 100% adoption rate here in the city, and we want to keep that streak alive. Today we have a Chihuahua Corgi mix who is 9 months old. His name is Terry, and Terry's looking for a home. Now, is he not darling or what? Okay, was he? He was a stray in the North Central. Whose district is that? That is Weezar. Mr. Weezar. They found this young gentleman from your district, so you may have to adopt him. I think we will institute a policy where, depending on where the animal was located, the council person for that district will have to take responsibility. So you better help me sell this dog, or you'll have an addition to your family. Anyway, if you ever wanted unconditional love, you definitely find that with one of our rescue animals, and that's what we have here today. When you adopt this dog, you're doing more than just adopting a pet or a companion animal. You're saving his life. We do the best we can to get all of our dogs and cats and rabbits adopted, but we cannot do that without your help. And we can only keep these animals for so long. So again, if you're looking for unconditional love, somebody that's going to always be there at your side, I invite you all to seriously think about adopting Terry. Is he always mild-mannered like this? So he's always a very cool dog. Listen, and this is Arlene. Arlene is one of the best that we have that works at Animal Services. She and I have been working together on the pet adoption for years, and she goes back to the shelter and brags about all of the dogs that she gets adopted. So let's make sure that the city and Arlene can keep our adoption rate going. So I'm going to have Arlene stay just for a while. And anybody that's here in the audience that would like to give Terry a home, anyone that's watching us on Channel 35, call us immediately. Arlene, hang around for a bit. And let's hope that before council is over today, that I can announce who his new mom and dad are. So anyway, Mr. President, members, thank you. We are looking for a home. I see that look in your eye, O'Farrell. We are looking for a home for Terry, again, who's a Chihuahua Corgi mix. All right, Mr. President.
Mr. President, thank you. And can I just thank you and Arlene?
You can adopt her.
I know. I got Hazel. And Hazel
needs a friend.
Hazel needs a friend.
Everybody needs love.
Let me give the number out for you, Mr. President. 888-452-7381. That's toll free. 888-452-7381. Let's call it in.
Thank you. And again, he'll be in the back. Arlene and I expect somebody to come and save the life of this pup.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's give a big hand for Animal Services of our City of Los Angeles, dedicated public employee, and Arlene for a very, very special presentation. The great councilman of the 14th District, Jose Huizar. Thank you, Mr. Huizar.
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
We have our city attorney, Mike Fear, here, as well as our city controller at the podium. Thank you.
How are you? Good to see you. Hey, sir. How are you? Mr. Koretz.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And we're here again for a very special presentation, one that the city has been doing for some time, and to honor and welcome Nowruz, the Persian New Year. As you all know, we are one of the most diverse cities in the world. And a big part of what makes us unique as Angelinos is that we embrace our diversity. We celebrate the beauty of our communities and our many cultures. And so today, I, along with my colleagues, are extremely honored to join our friends in this great chamber and across our wonderful city in recognizing and announcing the coming of spring with Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Before I begin, I would like to ask all our Persian city employees who are here today to please stand and be recognized. You too, huh? Stand up right here. The most recent figures tell us that there are more than 300 Iranian Americans who work in various professional capacities as engineers, information technology professionals, managers, etc., and they all work in the city of Los Angeles proudly. Interestingly, the diversity in their ethnic and religious background, Baha'i, Jewish, Armenian, and Muslim, represents the strength of diversity within the Persian community as well. The majority of the Iranian Americans in the city are engineers, with the greatest concentration in public works, the Department of Water and Power, the Department of Transportation, and Building and Safety. And outside of Iran, get this, Mr. Labange, outside of Labange, the city of Los Angeles is the single largest non-Iranian employer of Iranian professionals, and we should be proud of that.
Another hand.
Many of the Iranian Americans in the city entered civil service and have proudly served this great city and her residents for over 2 decades. That is amazing, and the city would not be the same without the contributions Persians have made to other industries and development in the city, especially in the textile industry. And many of you know about the work I've been doing on bringing back Broadway and bringing back many of these historic theaters. And it actually was a close Persian friend of mine, Ezzat Delajani, who gave me the idea to work on bringing back Broadway. He was a champion for preserving several historic theaters on Broadway and helped found the Nowruz Foundation 13 years ago. So I want to give him a special recognition as well. Through the Nowruz celebration, the Persian American community brings hundreds of years of culture, history, and rich tradition to the city of Los Angeles. Nowruz proclaims spring as a time of rejuvenation of nature, rekindling of friendships, and bringing about hope for a brighter future for all. It is truly a time of celebration and strengthening of our common resolve to be better and do better. Along with the celebration of Nowruz each year, the Persian American community of Los Angeles reaches out to all of our diverse communities and contributes to forming citywide relationships and bonds that truly makes Los Angeles special and unique. The Persian community continues to contribute immensely to the entire city of Los Angeles and beyond. May we all be blessed in the coming year with a gift of love and peace, and may all Angelinos find success and prosperity in this new Persian New Year. So with that, let me invite up a good friend of ours, Councilmember Koretz, to share a few words as well. Mr. Koretz.
Well, welcome to City Hall to our Persian friends. Salam. I am thrilled that we're gathered here today to celebrate Nowruz. And joined in this way, we can appreciate the blessings of the new year and new day and leave behind the misfortunes and bad luck of last year. As you know, I'm privileged to represent the 5th Council District, which is home to the largest population of Persians in Los Angeles. 5 years ago, we named the intersection of Wilkins and Westwood Persian Square, giving the Persian community the recognition it deserves, and since then, there have been a major influx of Persian businesses and residents into this area. This intersection is of particular significance because it is on one corner of the intersection that the first Persian business was opened in the city of Los Angeles. Today we're proud to have many of the businesses on Westwood Boulevard owned and operated by people of Persian descent. The Persian community, like many other robust, thriving immigrant communities, helps make our city great, and my hope is to make each Nowruz celebration bigger and better to honor your heritage. Our local Persian businesses and residents of the Westwood area have been a magnificent gift to all of us in Council District 5 and have blessed and enriched us with dynamic culture and commerce as well as priceless friendships. Los Angeles is a great city made so much greater by the efforts and contributions of this community. So thank you for the opportunity to celebrate together. Wish you all the best for the new year. Eid Shoma Mobarak.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. And now, please join me in welcoming City Controller Gelperin to the podium to say a few words as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Nowruz Piruz. A very, very happy Nowruz for everybody. You know, we celebrate many different New Years in this chamber, and it's an honor to be here this morning. We celebrate, of course, the U.S. New Year, Chinese New Year. We celebrate the Jewish New Year, Orthodox Christian New Year, the Islamic New Year. But I have to say that I love actually celebrating Nowruz because it is so full of color, it's so full of jubilance, the best food. And look at how our chamber here is decorated with these beautiful flowers for this day, the first day of spring. Now, every immigrant group comes to Los Angeles and brings its own gifts, which in turn become part of the fabric of our city and part of the kaleidoscope of colors and cultures that form our identity as Angelinos. And of course, the Persian community has contributed much to Los Angeles in so many different ways with a great history and a great tradition that goes back thousands of years. Now, today we're not just celebrating a new year, we celebrate a new day because, in fact, Nowruz is really about celebrating each and every day. And it's a uniquely secular tradition, and it bears noting that it comes from a part of the world that we don't often think about as secular. But in fact, this is something that everybody can celebrate. Now, Tied to the rhythm of nature, Nowruz conveys also a strong environmental message, reminding us about the wonder of the world and our place within it. There are these beautiful symbols of Nowruz. There's the egg, which is one you see in so many different cultures and which is one of birth and of rebirth. There are the greens, and then there's actually probably one of my most favorite, which is the vinegar, which is also a symbol of Nowruz, and it's to teach us patience. So as we celebrate, let us remember all of these great symbols of Nowruz, all of the great gifts of the Persian community in Los Angeles and throughout the world. And thank you for coming together, for the opportunity to be here today. And Eid Shoma Mubarak, a Happy New Year to all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Galperin. And now we'll bring up our city attorney, Mike Feuer. Welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Huizar. It's a little-known fact that in Farsi, the word Huizar means one who celebrates Nowruz every year. So it is my pleasure to be here. I had, we learned new things here. See, you usually look to Mr. Labange for these kinds of facts, but today you get it from me. It has been a privilege for me, both in the state legislature and the city council, to represent the lion's share of the Iranian-American community here in Los Angeles. It's been said what a rich array of contributions that community has made to our city. Economically, politically, culturally, socially. It's a community that has really arrived and transformed much of Los Angeles, with so much more yet to come. Congratulations on a wonderful new day. As we've said, Nowruz is about a new day, the light that spring brings to all of us. Let this holiday be a source of light to all here in Los Angeles. Eid Shoma Mubarak, and let us all join together in making this the best year yet.
And Mr. Huizar, we do have some of your colleagues. Let us know. I want to call on your colleagues as well.
Okay, we have one more speaker, and then we will go to our colleagues, if that's okay with you, Mr. Labange. And with that, let me introduce someone who's in the same profession as our city attorney. I would like to introduce a very special guest, Susan Aramesh Price, a senior deputy district attorney in Orange County and an elected official in the city of Long Beach. She was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, and moved to Iran prior to her first birthday. She lived in Tehran, Iran, with her mother, father, and sister until 1979, when she and her mother left the country and came to the United States, and has since really made a mark in her profession and as a public servant. Please welcome Susie Aramesh Price. Welcome.
Well, nothing says Iranian American like the name Susie Price. Good morning. Salam Dustana Aziz. I want to thank the City Council for hosting this celebration and for inviting me here today. I am incredibly honored to be standing here before you as part of this cultural celebration that your city has embraced for over a decade. I spent most of my childhood in the San Fernando Valley, and I was surrounded by a warm, loving, and hard-working group of Iranians. They helped raise me and served as a village of support to my mother and me through our lives. They were, to me, the best example of immigrants working hard to better their lives in a foreign country that offered them opportunities and peace. It is on their behalf and on behalf of our community that I feel an overwhelming sense of pride to be standing before you today. No doubt everyone in this room is aware that Los Angeles is home to the largest population of Iranians in the United States. It is a beautiful place, for it embraces diversity in the most authentic way. Just as this city embraces Iranians, Iranians too serve as a major asset to this community. We are a culture that promotes education first, and we comprise some of the hardest working and successful citizens in this nation. As a person who was raised by a hard-working single mother, who was also raised by a hard-working single mother, I am here to attest to the work ethic and duty of service of the members of this community. My grandmother, who passed away several years ago, loved this holiday. And when I would have a bad day, she would always remind me that the world is made up of two different kinds of days, Donya Doruze. Just because one day is bad doesn't mean that the next will also be bad. As you know, Nowruz means a new day. The first day of spring is perhaps the greatest symbol of celebrating all that is good, bright, new, and happy to help the forces of good and goodwill. This holiday is not about religion or social status. It's about celebrating the values of peace and solidarities between generations and within families. This celebration brings reconciliation and a sense of community. This day brings us hope and vibrance as we embrace the coming year. We are living in interesting times. Nowruz reminds us that even long-term enemies are obliged to set aside the dark feelings and embrace the light that is before us. It reminds us that policies, practices, and relationships can be viewed anew with optimism, collaboration, and hope. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your celebration. You should know that you have inspired this Long Beach City Councilwoman because I have taken your lead, and on March 24th, I will be hosting the first ever Nowruz celebration at the Long Beach City Council meeting at 5 p.m. So I welcome you to join us. Thank you to my colleagues in the City of LA for taking the lead on so many issues and so many programs, especially this one. Nowruzetan Piruz.
Thank you, Ms. Price. And Mr. Labange, you wanted to call on some of our colleagues?
Yes, Mr. Blumenfeld would like to make some remarks.
Great, thank you. I just want to join in this celebration. I'm inspired. My heart is warmed by seeing so many folks come out for this. I wanted to add my voice. Nowruz Mubarak. I want to point out that we talk about the rich diversity of the Persian community throughout Los Angeles, and we talk about some of the areas, but it's in my district, far-flung, as some people may consider it, in the West Valley, we have quite a large percentage of Persian Americans. We have in Tarzana, Woodland Hills, almost more than 10%. And I see a number of my friends here. I see John and Barbara Ardalan here, who are not just neighbors and friends and constituents, but they are important members of the community who do so much to make the community better, not just the Persian community, but the entire community. One of the great things I've always said that the Persian community has been successful at is that they've figured out ways to keep their culture but also become part of the fabric of the culture of Los Angeles. And today is a celebration of that as much as it is a celebration of everything else that's been discussed here today. The other thing I should mention about my district and the Persian community, the voice of the Persian community often in terms of Omid TV, Iran TV, Nadir Rafi does his show right out of Woodland Hills, and that is seen not only throughout Los Angeles, but throughout the world. So I like to think that Woodland Hills is the voice of the Persian community in that regard. So I just wanted to thank you for having this celebration and wish you all a happy Nowruz. Thank you.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Nowruz Piruz, everyone. This celebration, this annual celebration that we have here in Council has great special significance to me. First of all, because your flowers are always my wife's favorites. When I bring these home, I get high marks. So thank you for that. But much more importantly than that, as many of you know, I am in the more than 2 centuries of history of this city. I am the only Armenian American ever to have been elected to this chamber. And the Armenian people have a strong bond of kinship with the Iranian people, with Persian culture over the many centuries. And it's especially poignant at Nowruz because we think about spring, and we think about renewal, and we think about peace. And Iran formed a place of refuge for the Armenian people over many centuries of oppression, but certainly and most notably at the time of the Armenian genocide. And so it is very moving for me to be able to celebrate Nowruz with you. And on behalf of the very, very large Armenian Iranian community here in Los Angeles, it's a great pleasure to be able to celebrate with all of you. And I'd like to say that my office has had a special relationship with the Iranian American community too, because of some of the great people that we've had in my office representing the people of the 2nd Council District. And I want to start with my field deputy, Nikki Azari, who's here. And of course, my most trusted advisor, my chief of staff, Irina Brunosian, who is himself Iranian Armenian and serves as my chief of staff. And his predecessor, most notably, I want to give a special shout out to my previous chief of staff, now Assembly member Adrian Nazarian, the first Iranian-born member of the state legislature in our state's history. And Adrian, Assemblymember Nazarian, as you know, started the Nowruz celebration in our state capital, and I'm so very proud of him for doing that. So thank you all for being able to be here and celebrate Nowruz with us. But more important than that, thank you very much for the extraordinary contributions that the Iranian American community has made to our city, to the state of California, and to our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian, and members. I stand because I love the people of Los Angeles. And my family came here in the 1880s as immigrants from Ireland and Germany. But I love stories of people. And there was a fellow who came from Tehran, and he went to USC, and he got a job parking cars at Orange and Hollywood Boulevard, right next to the Chinese Theater. And Bill Hertz, who was Sid Grauman's guy, said, "Hey, Vahid, you should talk to Slim. He's retiring, and you should start over his tour business." Today, Vahid Sapir, #1 ambassador, #1 tour operator, very special man from your community who I love because he welcomes everyone to Los Angeles and shares the beauty of our city. You have a lot to be proud of. All those engineers, stand again, those engineers from the city, those who work for the city. I only got 15 more weeks. I need all my projects done. You'll do it. But I also want to say it's very special to have next with me very special Sheila Irani, who is a great candidate. She's going to do great things in the future. She's from all of our communities, and she is here today celebrating with you. Happy New Year, everybody. Good job.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. Krikorian, we didn't count the number of Persians who work for the city that work in elective offices, so we're going to change our numbers to 3,002. Okay. To 3,003. There you go. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Larry Adamson. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Midnight Mission. The Midnight Mission, as you know, is one of the social service agencies that serves the homeless, poor, and addictive population. Please welcome Mr. Adamson. Mr. Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Now, I know you're all observant people, so you're probably looking and saying, well, his name's Adamson, and I'm not sure what he has to do with the Iranian New Year. But I do want to share with you that 4 years ago, the Iranian American community came to us at Skid Row, Los Angeles, and said, we want to add an even more significance to the celebration of Nowruz here in Los Angeles. We want to be the ones that help to give back to this community, and particularly as part of this ancient holiday and celebration, how do we help those who need the most help in our city, those that are lost in our city? And for 4 years, they've been having a wonderful celebration with the people of Skid Row. We closed down, thank you, we closed down your street on 6th Street, and we celebrate with all of the people of Skid Row, and we bring the Iranian culture to the people of Skid Row. And I can tell you unequivocally, of all of the celebrations we do, and we do a number of them in Skid Row, this is the one that the people there, our homeless residents, love the most. And we thank the Iranian people, American people, for bringing that to us here in Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adamson. Our next speaker is someone that is no stranger to these chambers. This is Mr. Poria Abbasi, who is the former general manager of the Los Angeles Convention Center and really did a turnaround in terms of managing the convention center. We were sad to see him go when he left the city, but he is now the senior vice president and regional executive director of Phoenix House, and he is also a board member of the Nowruz Foundation. He will make a few comments in Farsi, which is the native language of Iran, for the Farsi-speaking audience of this program throughout the world, which is being televised. Please welcome Mr. Poria Abbasi.
Our dear friends at City Council, this year Nowruz is being celebrated in more city halls and state capitals than ever before. The U.S. Congress and the White House both celebrated Nowruz with genuine energy and hope for a spring that will bring about harmony, love, and peace across our nation and throughout the world. While we enjoy all the celebrations and acknowledgments that we're getting, one is always reminded, and we will not forget, that the acknowledgement of Nowruz and its official celebration started here in these chambers. Thank you for your commitment in recognizing the beauty of our city's diversity. Thank you for supporting all the cultures and traditions that make Los Angeles a tapestry of harmony and tolerance. And thank you for bringing Nowruz to these chambers. May you be blessed with much fortitude, health, and enjoy and energy in serving Angelinos. Now, with the Council President's permission, I will say a few words in Farsi. با ابراز تشکر فراوان از شهر لس آنجلس فرارسیدن نوروز باستانی را به تمامی مردمان جهان به ویژه پارسیان تبریک گفته آرزوی سالی مملو از عشق، صلح و صفا را برای همگان داریم. نوروزتان پیروز، هر روزتان نوروز. Thank you.
And I wanted to add something. Mr. Krikorian reminded Mr. Wesson and I that Congressman Tony Curtis, as a council member, was the one who led the charge to first open the doors of City Hall and make sure this was celebrated here. First one in Congress as well. Let's give Tony Curtis a big, big hand for that.
So now that Mr. Fuhrer has told me what my last name means, next year I will say a few words in Farsi. Okay, very good. And on behalf of the City Council, our City Attorney, our Controller, and our Mayor, we want to present this 2015 Nowruz Celebration Resolution to the Foundation and to all the Persian American community, and to thank them not only for celebrating with us in these chambers each and every year, but also for your contributions to this great city. As a representative of downtown LA, when we are going through so much renovation right now, the Persian American community was one of those communities that always believed in downtown LA, and their contributions to the textile industry and their contributions to reminding us about how important education is for our kids and for all of us in order for us to continue to pursue the American dream. Thank you so much, and on behalf of the City Council and all of us here, Happy Nowruz. And a special thank you to Hamid, who worked with my staff in making sure the arrangements were made possible today. So let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Hamid. Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Last but not least, there is a parade tomorrow at Grant Park, correct? At what time? 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock at Grant Park, a parade, first one ever here in the city of LA. Everyone's invited, so I want to welcome everybody. Should be fun. Should be a great celebration. Thank you so much.
Mr. Fuentes.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask that the liens on item number 11 and 14 be reconsidered, we'd like to afford the folks 2 more weeks to try to figure this out.
Okay, on those 2 items, let's vote on reconsideration. And again, what items are those,
11
Madam
and,
Clerk?
11 and 14.
So now we're going to vote on reconsideration on. Now, Mr. Herman, your cowbell is disrupting this meeting. Please put it away. Do not ring it again. If you do, we will hold it in council until the meeting is over. So with that said, let's vote on reconsideration of those items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And we will continue those items. What will be the day of the continuance, Madam Clerk? They'll be back.
Due to the council recess, that would be April 14th.
Okay, Mr. Bonin.
Yes, Mr. President. Earlier we approved item 22. I'd just like to ask it to go forthwith.
Without objection, that'll be the order. No, I've been informed we have not voted on that yet. Mr. Herman, again, you are disrupting this meeting. Please stop. We're going to take up item 22 that was held special by cards. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Akala.
Wow. Pretty noisy. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, and tweeting at Hollywood Dems. I think you said, because it was so noisy, I think
Stay
you said
on the item.
22.
I couldn't hear you.
Stay on the item. You heard me well enough to come up to the podium.
I
so
read it off
stay on 22.
Nasty. Mitigated negative declaration, communication from the city engineer, am I off topic? And resolution to vacate relative to vacating Elk Grove Circle from Elk Grove Avenue. Okay, what this is, as we've gone through this a number of times, one of the developers wants the land. So you're pretty much, when they vacate land, they're handing the land over to people. Other cities don't do this. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Akala.
You ran out of agendas, but I will mitigate the negative declaration communications from the city engineer and a resolution to vacate relative to the vacation Ellen Grove code for the Ellen. You should have agendas over there. To the. How come you run out of agenda so quickly?
Why don't you stay on the agenda item?
On the agenda, yeah. I'm on the agenda item. There's no agendas. But
Stay on the
it's hard
subject.
to read over there.
Stay on the subject.
Okay, the subject is vacating Illingworth Avenue for some reason or another. You're going to put that street on vacation, right? I'd like to go on a vacation myself.
Stay on the subject.
Vacation is the subject.
No, it's not. Stay on this
Of
item.
the street, yeah, of the street. Right? Am I wrong? It says vacation of Ellen Grove Avenue. I'd like to go to Laughlin, Nevada myself.
Okay, thank you.
vacation.
You're off the topic. Thank you. Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. Forthwith, per Mr. Biden. Let's go to item 3. On item 3, I have a Zelda James. Juan Acala, please come forward.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm a little nervous, but
Relax.
Mhm. This is in regard to the property that I own, and I don't understand why I'm being put into this position. Hold on. You don't have much time. All the violations that are listed on this account were done. They were completed. The property is a large piece of property. It's on a corner. It is totally fenced in. There's no way that anyone from outside the area can look into the yard. So I don't know how they claim that it is a nuisance to the community. The graffiti on the alley wall is constantly painted out. If I go out there and I paint it out today, by the time I get home, it's back up there again. So that's a problem that's community-wide. In regard to the lien, I don't understand why I'm being charged for this. This property was taken care of in 2006. All permits were granted and okayed, and now I received this bill for $2,000. I don't know what to do.
Okay, this is what we should do. We won't vote on this today. We'll continue it for 2 weeks. If you go to my right side, you'll see a gentleman in a brown suit and a blue shirt. If you chat with him, and Charles, you're gonna go chat with these gentlemen, and hopefully we'll be able to work this out. So this item will be continued for 2 weeks.
May I have 3?
Let's go with 2 weeks now, and hopefully we can deal with the situation. But go talk to the individuals over there, if you would, okay?
And Mr. President, for the record, that date would be April 14th.
So that will be, the date will be April 14th, you said?
Yes, Mr. President.
All right. So, Mr. Kala.
I'm asking the lady to ask for a receipt on this item because the city is run by a bunch of pigs which don't care about the people in the city. You put liens on people for nothing. And if you demand payment, and if you don't pay, they go and take your house. What a kind of a homeless making institution are you? You little pigs. Krikorian, Correz, Labanche, etc. City attorney, you monopoly dude. You're trying to take away the housing from everybody and build apartment houses?
No, that has nothing to do with the subject. Stay on the subject.
Driving the people insane in this city to the point where they cannot afford a place to live.
It
and
has
then you build
absolutely nothing to do with that.
And those ladies cannot pay the money. You're not entitled to their money. You're not.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. This item will be again continued till, what was it, April 14th, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay. Members, I do want to announce that the dog has been adopted by Richard in the city clerk's office. Thank you for keeping our 100% adoption rate alive. Thank you so very much. We're going to move now to item 7. Herbert Morales. Mr. Akala. I can't make this out. I think it's by the writing. I think it's Mr. Herman. I'm not sure. No, don't holler from the audience. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Morales.
Sí, hablo español más que todo.
Okay, one second.
Okay.
Go right ahead, sir.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning.
Estoy muy feliz de ver tanta gente elegante.
I'm so happy to see so many elegant people.
Mi caso es de que me mandaron una carta, no me la mandaron, me la pusieron afuera en el gate de mi casa.
My case is that they sent a letter. They did not send it. They put it outside of my house they posted with a tape.
Y yo confío mucho en el correo.
And I trust a lot the mail.
Pero me mandan a cobrar una cantidad muy grande de dinero.
But they asked me to charge a lot of money.
Y dicen que porque yo tenía cosas no correctas en mi casa.
Because they said I have things that are not correct in my house.
Y que dice que esa carta viene desde el 2011.
And they say that the letter comes from 2011, December.
Yo nunca vi una carta ni nunca vi un inspector en mi casa.
I never saw a letter. I never saw an inspector at home.
Y si el inspector llegó y vio algo, pues está haciendo su trabajo. Magnífico.
So if the inspector got there and saw something, very well, he's doing his job.
Pero dice que en el 2011 me mandaron una carta a una dirección que yo jamás en mi vida he visto.
But they say that in 2011 they sent me a letter to an address that I have never seen.
Que dice que está en la ciudad de Palmdale.
It says that it's in the city of Palmdale.
Yo he vivido en mi casa por 13 años y nunca he vivido en esta localidad que
I have lived in my house for 13 years and I have never lived in the address that you are citing here.
No sé si me pueden resolver esta situación porque
I don't know if you can resolve this situation.
Ya pasé hace 6 años, pasé 55 días detenido en la cárcel de migración por un error de esta naturaleza.
6 years ago, I spent 55 days at jail in immigration for the same sort of situation of a mistake.
Porque alguien usó mi nombre y lo deportaron.
Because somebody used my name and he got deported.
Y yo estuve prisionero por esa causa y estuve 4 años peleando en corte.
And I was detained in jail for 4 years for that same reason.
Y ahora tengo una situación similar con mi nombre en otra dirección que yo no sé qué cosa.
And I have the similar situation with my name in a different address and I have no idea what that is.
Porque no sé de dónde sacaron esta.
I don't know where you got this address.
Yo soy una persona honesta, trabajadora y no puedo pagar esa cantidad que me dicen, puesto que mi salario.
I'm an honest person. I'm a hard worker and I cannot pay because my salary.
Mi salario es apenas de 500 y algo cada 15 días.
My salary is only $500 and some change every 15 days.
Y estoy pagando un mortgage de $1,600, casi $1,600.
And I'm paying for a mortgage of almost $1,600 a month.
Ustedes imaginan que yo tengo que hacer miles de cosas para tratar de pagar solo mi casa.
And
y
you can
aparte mi
imagine
comida y mi
that I
familia.
have to do a lot of things to pay, my money and my feed, and besides that, my family.
Okay, Mr. Morales, I'm going to defer to Mr. Fuentes right now.
The item for 2 weeks will give us an opportunity to make sure that we've got our facts straight.
Okay, so if you could explain to Mr. Morales that this item will be continued for 2 weeks, April 14th, and that if he comes over to the ropes, he'll be able to talk to the representative from that area. So his item will be continued for 2 weeks, but he should please go and have a conversation with Mr. Fuentes and his staff. Thank you, Mr. Morales. So go right here. Yes, sir.
Señor Morales, se le olvidó su expediente.
Run his... Mr. Acala.
Señor Morales, se le olvidó su libreta de... ¿No es suya?
Keep it going.
Hey, my time is running. How
Yeah,
come?
that's because I called you, you came to the mic, you have to begin speaking. Now stay on the subject.
Well, I don't expect anything less than you little pigs, anyway. You'll steal everything, my time.
Nope, you're
my
not on
money.
the subject.
You're robbing people. You're not sending them proper notices. This guy doesn't even live in that address. And you're willing to send him to jail or do something if he doesn't pay you money that he doesn't owe you. You're a bunch of robbers. And you uphold the system that was started by these little pigs. See? Ben Franklin is one of them. They signed the Constitution saying we the people, and you the politicians took it over. Nobody appointed you, you assholes.
Okay, the next speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I did sign the card up as Matt Dow.
I
versus
could not
LA.
read your name. If you want to speak on the item, speak.
We are speaking about a location at 11683 North Vanport Avenue for $2,427.53 to the gentleman that Mr. Felipe Fuentes, who dislikes people who are immigrants because he'd rather have you pay up the ass than to help you out. Waive the charges, Mr. Felipe Fuentes, while you speak to the gentleman over there. Because the problem is you continue to not certify the public in regards to this illegal process of liens. The core issue is now freedom of speech when a person comes here to say, I object to the lien. So I say stop causing hardship and the favor, because universal, on behalf of all these liens, this is universal. I hold my time to 1 minute.
Mr. Krikorian, was that a error? Okay. All right, so we are continuing this item to April 14th, correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, so item 1, we're going to continue that item. I cannot remember, how long do we want to continue that item for, Mr. Krikorian? So that would place that. Okay, we are going to continue that. Now, this is, I told you about the cowbell, so I'm going to ask the sergeants to hold the cowbell until after the council meeting is over. So you are disrupting the meeting. You are doing it again. And you can stay in the meeting, but sergeants, if you'd please hand them the cowbell. If not, you can leave the meeting. Sergeants, please get the cowbell. I warned him about that 3 times. Again, Mr. City Attorney, he is disrupting this meeting. Okay, now we're going to move to item 10. You are still disrupting. This is the last warning. We're going to move to item 10. I think Igor Volokov, and I know I messed it up. Please repeat.
Hello, Igor Volokov. Yeah, 12207 Bradford Place. I provide garage sale and was emergency hospitalized. And I asked my family, I just have only a wife and 2 kids, to put all stuff on backyard and call Salvation Army to pick it up. it takes a couple days. When I was released from hospital, I got letter that it's fine, like $356. I came next day to City Hall and talked to chief of inspector. He said that, oh, you have to talk to inspector. Inspector told me that somebody complained about abandoned items on my property. I said that, you see, I physically can't present there, and it takes some time to Salvation Army to pick it up. They said that they will figure out what happened, and later, in maybe a half year, I don't know, remember, I got from them bill for 1,300, $1,176. You see, I'm struggling now, you see, from this economic situation, you know. I just selling some items to pay mortgage, you know. I raising two kids. I have today's past due bill for Department of Water and Power. I have 1,200 which I own them. I'm ready to pay, you see, but I try to collect some money. But that, you see, this, they just try to rob me and completely destroy my life, you know.
Okay, sir, what I'm going to do with your item is continue it for 2 weeks as well. You see the gentleman in the brown suit? If you would chat, no, he's right, I'm sorry, right in the front row.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation with him. We're going to continue this for 2 weeks. The information that the two of you share will be then given to the council office, and they will make the final decision. But as of now, this item will not be taken up until April 14th. So if you would please chat with this Charles over there.
Okay.
Mr. Akala.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Oh, Mr. Akala, you're out of time. Okay, so on this item, it will be continued to the 14th of April. Now we'll go to item 15. Is it Anthony Francis? And I could be wrong. Anthony on item 15. Mr. Parks?
Gone. We had a discussion with him earlier, and there was an agreement with Building and Safety that the lien should be changed to $998.56, in which he will pay.
Okay, so no applause. So anyway, if the clerk would note that there's been an adjustment on the price and all are in agreement. So on that item, we'll just vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And that's adopted as amended.
Okay, let's go to item 20. Mr. Akala is out of time. Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Dowd, if you'd like to speak on item 20, please come forward.
It's pretty sad that the item 1 was deferred, but let me
Stay
speak
on
this
this
subject. Determination for public convenience of necessity for the sale of alcoholic beverages, which Mr. Weezer is very well aware of.
You
Although
stay on
this
the
is in
subject.
CD 13, Mr. O'Farrell, we continue to have drunkenness, belligerent necessity for alcohol and the consumption in our neighborhoods, thanks to you. You find no discretion whatsoever to say to the public that you are creating alcoholism in your community and in ours. Because 13 and 14 are so close, we alcoholics love to drink. However, unfortunately, LAPD thinks because of our belligerentness and drunkenness in the public, like if they don't drink, right? Officers are probably 99.9%
Stay on the
alcoholics.
subject.
Although that's off the subject, you're right, Mr. Speaker. Because of people like you, Mr. Speaker, we hope in the future that you will stop providing alcohol convenience and necessity for off-site consumption at Tropic Beer and Wine Bar Cafe. At a cafe, really. Why don't you just drink the beer or wine at your house so you don't have to get a ticket for being unalcoholic in the public, Mr. O'Farrell, in CD 13? In so many words, we've become the hit and run capital of Los Angeles because of alcoholism. When you killed Judge Dean Ferguson's son on the hit and run, did that ever resolve anything, Mr.
On the
Speaker?
subject.
It's about alcoholism and people
no, the
that
subject is
become
not.
victims to the crisis of alcoholism. It is disease like you guys because you continue to provide license
Thank you.
and
You're
permits,
off,
you jerks.
off the subject. Maybe, no, I won't even say that. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item 21. I have, does Mr. Walsh have time? I have Mr. Walsh. Mr. Akala is out of time. I have Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Dowd. So, Mr. Walsh, if you come forward, followed by Mr. Herman / Dowd.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This, again, is the REAP program, which, again, you've done a very good job on. Remember, when you do an excellent job, I'm the first one to congratulate you, and I'm never interrupted when I'm complimenting you, as you notice. This concerns bad landlords. And I want to say this to everyone out there. If you have any violations, code violations, go to the city. How did these people get on this list? They got on this list because somebody, a renter, found a violation, went to the city, the landlord didn't repair it, and then the city intervened and said, from now on, you don't pay, the renter doesn't pay to you, the landlord, the renter pays to us until you fix the problems. And as you see, of course, it's almost only enforced in the black and Hispanic areas. If you're a crooked landlord west of La Brea, you can get away with anything. Look, 91st Street, 82nd Street. It's almost all in those areas. But in any case, the most important thing here is everybody should know what a code violation is. In other words, if you have broken light sockets, whatever they are, if you have a leaking water heater, you go immediately and file with the city. And if the landlord doesn't get rid of the violation in a reasonable period of time, the landlord ends up on this list. Notice when I compliment you, I'm never interrupted. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Next speaker. You have no time, Mr. Akala. You're out of time. Thank you. The next speaker, didn't I call on, I called on Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Dowd. Yes.
Resolutions relative to removing various properties from rent escrow account program. I'm going to read it specifically right out of this agenda. To adopt the accompanying resolutions removing the following properties from the rent escrow account program known other as REAP or RAPE, inasmuch as the owners have corrected the REAP cited by violations that provided proof of compliance or violations of citations throughout the City of Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department, LAHCID, due to the enforceable unit of habitability and civilizations and pursuit to the ordinance of 733810 and adopt the findings contained in LA. So you see, folks, REAP has its benefit for all of us when it comes to our community. It deals with the health and safety and respects to our community to have the quality of life concerns addressed. And it's sad to say that some individual councilmen don't give a rat about your community because, as you see, They have this program created because they can't control the problem of enforcement. So what they do, they send building and safety, Charles in charge, to go to your home, cite you up, you come back in here, you cure and correct the problem, you fix it, you pay out the citation, hopefully it doesn't become a lien. And although that's a different subject of the matter, because this is about REAP or RAPE program, and it does a very, very good thing for us all, because those of us like myself who are renters, we live roach-free, varmint-free, and politicians like Mr. Cedillo provide us the excellent rent available in CD1. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo.
All right, let's move on. Let us prepare to vote on these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
We are going to move now to item 2. Do we have a Luis? Luis, you're going to have to help me out with the last name. Luis?
It's Luis Olascuaga. It's Olascoaga. As soon as I moved into Northridge, it's been a nightmare since I've been living there for 6 years. One of the neighbors down the street, he said he doesn't want no Mexicans living around there to go back to Mexico. There's a lot of racial on my block. And this guy that's always complaining about stuff being on my driveway, he's walking up and down the street, just looking at everybody's yard. He thinks he's in Beverly Hills. You know, I'm just tired of going to court, paying fines and everything. I'm cleaning up. I brought pictures. I already did a major cleanup again. You know, I had a busted pipe. I had to bring out my stuff, put it on my driveway, let it dry for a couple of weeks. The guy came by again. City inspector came by. He said, why do you have weights in your backyard? It doesn't look like you lift weights. You know, and they're judging me. You know, I told him, do you believe in God? You should go to Christian church. I go to Christian church. I got a diploma here from my pastor that I help the homeless. I feed the homeless, you know, and now they want to stick me with a bill that I can't afford. I'm out of work. My wife's sick. I don't know what to do, you know. You know,
Luis,
I don't want to come back another 2 weeks. I don't want to come back and forth. I don't even have gas money.
Yeah, what I'm saying, what I want you to do to try to work out your situation is you have to talk to.
I already talked to a million people.
You have to talk to representatives from Council District 12. Maybe they can give you some relief. So I'm recommending to you that this is your best course of action.
It's just
that we continue it. You have a conversation.
I don't want to continue
See,
it.
well then you don't want to force us to vote on this today. So if you, Mr.
I want to give you guys your money, and I just want to be left alone. You know, I want to give you guys $10 a month. I want to be left alone.
Well,
I'm
then
really sick.
all of that needs to be worked out. So if I could have you talk to the representative, Charles, would you be engaged in that conversation and see if there's a way to make an arrangement with Luis? So if you go to my left, Luis, and unfortunately I am going to have to continue this item until April 14th. Okay, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Again, remember, if you get one of these hearing protest appeals, come down here, and Batman and I will brief you. You'll come up here. You see what happens? You're brought over to the side, and you don't have to pay. Nobody comes back a second time and says, you made me go 2 weeks, and then you charge me the same amount of money. Oh, remember, all of these building and safety reports, they're absolutely a mess. The whole city is in chaos. The bookkeeping is in chaos. When you come down here, everybody, when they come down here, say the same thing. I never got a notice. And then they admit it over there on the side, and the fine is waived. And remember who does that? Who is making sure you don't get fines out there? East of La Brea. The hell with west of La Brea. It's all white over there. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, so this item will be continued to April 14th. So, Madam Clerk, if we could adjourn the regular meeting. No. Recess. My bad. Recess the regular meeting and go into the special meeting.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezer, Carres, Krikorian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Weston. 13 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We have cards on this item. We have, you're disrupting whoever that is. Please stop. I think it is you, Mr. Herman. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Marine, and Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Dowd.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. Okay, this is the most important agenda item of the day. There'll be no discussion. This is what they're doing here. They are going to take $133 million in appropriation and transfer it from one budget to another budget, all over the place. Why are they doing this? Because in actuality, the city is almost very, very close to bankruptcy, okay? Remember, I was the one who told you Farmers Field will never happen. That was psychotic ravings. It isn't anymore. It's conventional wisdom.
Stay on the subject.
When all of these budget adjustments brought to you by Mastermind Krikorian, what this is doing is masking the fact that the city is almost bankrupt. Transfer $2,796,976 from attachment 5 to attachment 6. Transfer $1.9 million to attachment 9. They don't even know what the hell is going on up here. All they know is that the press corps here is sitting, mooning over pictures of the mayor and doing absolutely nothing. The city is near bankruptcy. I told you the Farmers Field wouldn't happen. Now I'm telling you the city's near bankruptcy. And this is all BS of moving the money, masking the city's near bankruptcy. HollywoodHighlands.org. I'm right.
Okay, Mr. Herman / Dowd.
I won't be so loud so I don't be blamed for breaking the equipment. But we're talking here about Mr. Krikorian, who's a so-called money man, budget man, who can't even budget a hamburger with lettuce and cheese. So $133 million in appropriations, transfers for other budget adjustments. Why don't the knucklehead adjust the issue on transportation? Because there is no budget. If there were a budget for transportation, we wouldn't have to ask the county to provide us protection under an audit to secure that there's a budget for transportation in the city of Los Angeles. Just keep eating, Mr. Krikorian. Let me finish. God. So the transfer of $2,800,000 between accounts with various departments and funds are specified in the attachment. But nowhere on this attachment is there anything discussing the breakdown. I want a breakdown, Mr. Budget Man. You and your mathematician, Mr. Peppa Pig. Because the bottom line is, you cannot attach to console files without recommendations by the impact for community transparency to have say-so in your budget. None of us are invited to your budget. So if we're going to be ignorant, arrogant, and think we can flip a burger and melt the cheese with lettuce and tomatoes because we don't know how to check and balance, check and balance, Mr. Krikorian. That's the key to saving the city from bankruptcy. But again, the city attorney don't care because he'd rather pay out of your hardworking tax-paying dollars to pay for settlements because we're going bankrupt in the city of Los Angeles. View it on JohnWalshHollywoodHighland.org. Thank you.
Mr. Marie?
Yes, as you know, the city has been sheltering 10% of every city craft worker who retrofitted this building with sprinkler systems, redid the Hahn building across the street, and so they're just missing monies. These missing monies, we can't tell where they're at. They have never been accounted for. So, or is any of this money in this being transferred from this account to this other account to the other account? Was any generated from the money sheltered from the pay of city employees who served the city for the past 25 years that has gone unaccounted for? That's a lot of money that's been gone. 10% of the whole payroll of every job in this city here performed by city craftsmen is missing, unaccounted for. And now you're moving money around again from, just like the 1120 money. That's an asset to the city because it's sitting in union banks. And nobody's ever recovered that money. Your 1120 funds, genuine 100% government funds, is sitting in private sector union banks. Now, when you going to get that money back? Then you can transfer some of that shit around from this account to that account. So, I don't know. And that attachment 5 and attachment 6, I don't see no attachment 5 or no 6. The money's not in the details, right? The devil's not in the details. The devil's in the people who ignore the details and don't account for our money. And you keep missing the details. I don't see no details of 5 and 6. I don't see no details in a...
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let us prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, and now we can adjourn the special, return to the regular. And that leaves us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
Jose Martinez? Mr. Walsh? Herman/Dodd? And I think this is
John Walsh. Visit my website. You will see the invitation, the UN Human Rights Commission investigation of the killing of Brother Africa, the Cameroon killing. It has begun. It is an extension of a long UN investigation, Human Rights Commission investigation of the city of Los Angeles racism. It's there, everybody. It's on the internet. Check everything out that I have there. Remember, and incidentally, I want black people to understand the two of the cops who murdered Brother Africa had Hispanic names. And I want you to understand, and I am a Jew, that the Jewish progressives have now decided it's politically correct and okay for Hispanics and Asians cops to cold-bloodedly murder black people and get away with it. And stay out of our neighborhoods. Black people, stay out of Highland Park. You're not welcome. You're on the bottom. And it's the Jewish liberals who are spitting and cursing at you. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay.
It's not unconstitutional to prevent censorship and deny freedom of speech. But currently, the prevailing city of Los Angeles and other cities have the practice and failure of standards when it comes to free speech. Thus, the damage is unfair and unequal. Comment to criticize the monopoly man, city attorney, and the little short guy, the speaker. So administrative customers have taken an oath by the city charter and the Brown Act for open meetings. However, there is no transparency as you hear it from the public. Respectfully, I attest to the true relative values in effect of speech. The core issue is now freedom of speech. You have created a balance of hardship and the public interest outweigh your effing favor to one public minute, you a-holes. So get on the ball, listen to the federal ruling, and stop denying us public speech for 1 minute and open it up without censorship.
Thank you very much. Where's Juan? Mr. Akala, I don't have a card on you. Did you fill out a card? Okay, come on. I don't see it, however.
Housing for all, that's my issue. And if in the past I used some irreverent language, it's just to show you that we still have freedom of speech. When we lose that, we are fucked. Anyway, my main issue is housing for everybody. And all these Iranian donations of food to the homeless, everybody's feeding the homeless to the point where they're all getting obese. We don't need no more food, you idiots. We need housing. Can't you get that? Isn't that so easy to understand? That if everybody has a home, they can go to work and not have to be homeless? Can't you idiots devise a system where you're not eating in chambers and telling everybody don't eat in chambers?
Thank you. Do we have a Sid Henry, or is this Mr. Marine Henry? Henry, you have a card? You want to speak? Okay, then we go to Leah Renee.
Hello. Hi, there's 30. Hello?
Go right ahead.
Hi. It would be really nice sometime to have 2 minutes instead of 1, but just a suggestion. Maybe you'd get us to show up to vote if you actually heard us speak here for more than a minute. But I'm delivering to you a website. It's called PacificPalisadesBluffs.com. Dear Mayor Garcetti and honorable commissioners and council members, Builders Inclusive of Builders Team of Expediters, licensed professionals, collectively Trino, at 283 Trino Way, are being helped by city officials and city staff to knowingly violate the law, as held by California case law in Horowitz versus City of Los Angeles, Pacific Palisades Bull Mobile Estates versus City of Los Angeles, Orinda Association versus the Board of Supervisors, and City of Los Angeles versus Decker. It is the duty of the mayor and the city council to uphold the laws in project development.
Finish your sentence.
Thank you. I'd like you to go to the website. What I did is you can click on all the boxes and you can see what's happening.
Thank you.
And you're all on notice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That concludes general public comment. That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Council has motions for post and referral.
They are posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Announcements, members. I do want to take a moment to announce that yesterday was Mike Bonin's birthday, and we do not need to sing. He had 700 people sing him happy birthday last night. Any other? Mr. Krikorian.
Mr. Krikorian has led the way, and I'll be joining him with Ciclavia this Sunday morning, starting all the way in North Hollywood from the Red Line down Lankershim through the Campo de Cahuenga out Ventura. It's a great day to explore the city. Everyone's welcome to come. Also tomorrow, Mr. Wessett is Rotary Day in Griffith Park, where the Rotary Club will do many civic projects. Also a big tree planting thanks to the tree people in Vermont Canyon across from the Greek Theater, which will be a wonderful day and many events to be out in the park. I thank you and continue to enjoy and love Los Angeles.
Okay, also our Sergeant Steve. Where's Steve? His birthday is tomorrow. And it's my understanding that there's cake in the back. Mr. Cedillo.
Also, we're going to have a reading. We had a great week with our launch of Keep It Clean, and then we've started readings. We're at Mount Washington High School yesterday, and tomorrow we're going to be at the Cypress Park Library reading to these young boys and girls so that they can capture the hearts and minds of their parents and have them do the right thing. We had a great experience at Mount Washington yesterday. Some of the brightest kids I've ever seen in my life, and so we'll be at the Keep It Clean story time tomorrow at Cypress Park, 1150 Cypress Park Avenue, Cypress Park Library, Los Angeles, California.
Thank you. Mr. Krikorian, did you? Okay, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning, I invite my constituents and anyone who wants to join us for a planting of the median at Occidental and 3rd Street called the Occidental Rounders. We've been slowly restoring them for the past year plus, and we're doing another work project tomorrow as part of Councilmember In Your Corner in the Great 13th District. We meet at 8:30 at the intersection of Occidental and 3rd Street, and all are welcome to attend.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Any more announcements, members? Announcements, Mr. Labange?
I just wanted to say on behalf of Mitch O'Farrell that he does a great job, Councilman in the corner. Thank you.
Then if we could all rise for adjourning motions. I'm going to start off on my left side. Any adjourning, Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today I'd like to adjourn in memory of Janelle Ward McLean, who passed a couple weeks ago. She was married to Clifford McLean, who works in the contracts unit of the city's economic and workforce development department. Cliff also ran the Vera Davis McClendon Center in Venice for, 15 or 20 years until recently. Jan was born in El Dorado, Arkansas, and came to L.A. as a child. She worked for LAUSD, for the U.S. Postal Service, and then began her career with the County of Los Angeles in 1977. She worked in various departments there, spending ultimately 15 years at the Department of Health Services. During her time with the county, she was promoted 8 times, and she retired just last April after more than 36 years of service. She was very, very active in her church, serving as a deaconess, a Sunday school superintendent and teacher, a choir and a song leader, and active in the feeding ministry and in the Wednesday night Bible study. She passed away Sunday, March 1st, and services were last week. She leaves behind her husband, Cliff, and 3 biological adult children, 3 children by marriage, 3 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and 1 adopted adult child, as well as 3 adult siblings. May she rest in peace.
Any more on my left side? I turn to the right. Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. President. It is with great sadness that I ask we adjourn council today in the memory of Richard Glatzer, an accomplished filmmaker and Academy Award nominee. Richard was born January 22nd, 1952 in Flushing, New York. He grew up in Westbury on Long Island and in Livingston, New Jersey, graduating from the University of Michigan in 1973 and later earned a doctorate in English from the University of Virginia. He traced his love for film to his childhood, and that interest manifested itself in a friendship with legendary filmmaker Frank Capra, resulting in extensive published interviews and scholarship. He eventually moved to Los Angeles, working on the daytime reality program Divorce Court. He funneled that experience into his first film, Grief, in 1993, a comedy drama set in tacky, tabloid-style syndicated series titled The Love Judge. Glatzer met his husband and film collaborator, Wash Westmoreland, at a party in 1995. They lived together in Echo Park and made 4 movies together, including The Fluffer in 2001, the Sundance Festival Grand Jury Prize winner, Quinceañera, in 2006, and The Last of Robin Hood in 2013. Glatzer and Westmoreland's most notable collaboration was Quinceañera, one of my all-time favorite films, a perceptive, authentic, feeling look at the aspirations and struggles of Mexican-American immigrants living in Echo Park. They filmed the movie on location, in their own house and neighborhood, using friends and neighbors as extras. We wanted a story that was realistic, but at the same time, very unusual, Westmoreland told The Times in a 2006 interview, something that took everyday life and pushed it a little further. I just want to announce that my summer film series in Echo Park will start with the film Quinceañera, and we'll announce that date really soon, and we're going to show it outdoors. Nearly a decade later, the filmmaking duo pulled off another movie characterized by a family focus and humanism. You might have heard of this one, Still Alice. Still Alice, an adaptation of Lisa Genova's best-selling novel about a woman battling early-onset Alzheimer's disease, became their final and most commercially successful effort, winning strong reviews and, of course, an Academy Award as Best Actress for Julianne Moore just last month. Glatzer passed away on Tuesday, March 10th in Los Angeles after a 4-year battle with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS. He was 63 years old. In addition to husband Wash Westmoreland, Glatzer is survived by his sister Joan Codner and daughter Ruby Smith. May he rest in peace, and may we all thank him and his partner for the considerable talents and gifts to the rest of the world through their work in cinema.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, members. We have a great opportunity to honor people, and it's never too late to honor anybody. And last holiday season, we honored Ken Vick, 95 years young, a great man who was born in Wisconsin, came to California, and then enlisted in the Army Corps. Was a great veteran out of World War II. He lived a good life. He flew the American flag every day from his porch until he passed. His son preceded him in death in 1978, but he survived by his wife, Ollie, and they're married 63 years. This man lived a full life. Let's remember that one from the greatest generation, Ken Vick, Toluca Lake, California.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Still looking to my right. Any other adjourning motions? I don't see any. Have a good weekend, members. This meeting is adjourned.